up? ATEM Hatep Sini Sinat Uncle Astijad Uncle Jasanab. Dua Henu. I think I might have an hour. I think I might have an hour. It's been busy. I didn't even get to share this shit. I'll share it after. We're about to kind of conclude the discussion we had the other day. I want to make sure I could see what's the YouTube information as people post. This way I can kind of, if I see something, I can talk a little bit. I can respond if necessary. If somebody has, makes it more interactive, if you will. Hopefully this is not coming through choppy. It looks like it's pretty good. The volume is going. But we want to conclude the discussion we were having the other day. I'll probably use less of our brother Ujao's name this time, because really we just teaching about a particular instance, but we have to make some clarification for what was going on before. But anyway, let's get to the business. Let me share my screen. Let's make sure this shares. You know I've been having computer issues, so let's make sure we're good to go. Let's see. All right, looks like we're screen sharing. So as you can see, topic is, what is the topic? Is the word km an adjective or noun adjective, if you will? And does it become a noun? I believe I put. I don't know, I just wrote it. Just wrote it a second ago. But anyway, Imitap, brother Jerron Towns. See, I can see y'all this time. I can talk to y'all a little bit. So, like I said, this time we're going to include less of our brother. We don't really need to, draw that out, because there's no beef. There's no physical activity. That's my brother at the end of the day. Let them spread what they'll spread. We keep it ma'ah around here, y'all. We keep it righteous around here. But we need to finish this portion up. We need to get some clarification and qualify Kim as an adjective. We need to qualify Kemet as the black land as an adjective noun. So here we have a quick post here. This shows some biliterals and some triliterals. And as it says there are a great many biliteral and triliteral glyphs in goodness, I can't even talk. Biliteral and triliteral glyphs in Egyptian. These represent combinations of 2 or 3 consonants. Some of the most commonly used are, and then they have a list. You'll see right here, Kim is here. Kim is right there. And you can see this I6 glyph from Gardner's. It's the Gardner code I6, right? They call it one or two things. They say it's the burning of wood, burning of incense, which I tend to agree with more. And then they also try to say it's a crocodile's paw, like his skin with the claws sticking out or spikes sticking out of it. I'm going to do them one better. I think it's a hippo's foot. And the reason I believe it's a hippo's foot is because if you go look at Amit, it looks just like Amit's foot, right? And if you go look at another hippo that's being slayed or being driven, whose wall is that? I think it's Satepenra's wall. Shout out to my homie Satepenra. I'm coming for that stock, by the way. You know what it is. But anyway, I believe you can see the hippo in a sitting position. And when the hippo is in a sitting position, it's almost giving up, or it's trying to stop you from getting to it the way that they used to get the hippo. And its foot sits out straight. And it looks like this particular medu, this particular word right here. So I don't think that is a crocodile's foot necessarily. Remember, we covered this on a previous video, not the one that I just did, but the one before it, where we talk about Kemet being the black land. And they say, scholars, that this is an alligator's foot, spine sticking out, or it's alligator skin with the spine sticking out. I don't think so. I think it's a hippo's foot. And maybe I'll probably write a paper to have them reevaluate it and see what they think concerning. But that's just my personal opinion. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. Kim is a biliteral, and you can see it here. And it says, when biliterals and triliterals are used in text, additional monoliterals called phonetic complements are often included to remind the reader of the value of the multiliteral glyph. The complements, we'll just go down a little further, represent the last sound in a biliteral, or the last sound or two in a triliteral. And here it has copper. People say kepper, but if you go to the Maasai, they have the same word, and it's copper. And so I use what the Maasai use. Here's another one. It says ankh. You see the ankh first, and then you see the N and the K. Here you see the beetle first, and then you see the P and the R. Here you have the Sioux plant and the quail chick, you have Sioux. Right? Now, let's get away from that. Let's find out what is a biliteral. Because Kim is a biliteral in Medu Neter, in Egyptian, if you will. And when we go to what a biliteral is, there's a couple things about it. Wiktionary says composed of two letters. That's in English generally, or Latin. In Semitic, it's usually two sounds. It's two sounds. Biliteral is an adjective. You see it's an adjective. It's written in two different scripts. This is what Wiktionary has to say. And Webster's dictionary says this, all this stuff popping up. It's an adjective consisting of two letters as a biliteral root of Sanskrit or verb, right? So two letters make the sound. And a biliteral noun is a word, syllable, or root consisting of two letters. So it's of two letters. Kim, right? Also biliteral as an adjective consisting of two letters. You see that everywhere. And it's an adjective. And an adjective in ancient Medu Neter can be qualified as a noun. And here it's an adjective and it's also a noun. We'll get to that in a second, right? We're just qualifying the word Kim as an adjective, and then we will also qualify it as a noun adjective. And then we will also qualify it as the term black land and Kemet. We'll get to that in a minute. So let's go a little further. Let's get into what is an adjective. An adjective is a noun in grammar, a word or phrase naming an attribute added to or grammatically related to a noun to modify or describe it. So it can either change the noun into something, or it can make a description of that noun, which also would modify it in cases, right? So we go a little further down. It says late Middle English from Old French adjective, and then it puts iv as a different suffix. From Latin, adject, added from the verb adjacere, from add, towards, plus jacere, throw. The term was originally used in the phrase noun adjective. So it's a noun adjective. That's its original use. Translating Latin nomen adjectivum, a translation of Greek onoma, epitheion, attributive name, right? So that's what an adjective is. And so far, Kim qualifies. So it's a bilateral, it's an adjective, and it's an adjective noun. But right now we're taking English terms and putting them over Medu Neter terms. We have to make sure that we can do that in this sense. So let's go We'll go here to Ancient Egypt Online. Let's make sure, because they got a little good information. They're not bad. And this is how an adjective works in Medu Neter. An adjective is a word which describes a noun. We know that, right? We just covered that. In the hieroglyphic or in the Medu Neter language of ancient Egypt, the adjectives agree with the noun. We'll cover that in a little bit. An adjective for a female noun also has the ending T. Running into that all over the place. And adjectives for plural nouns are plural. So then they give us a few examples. They say ben, which means evil man. Means evil man. And then they say set bent, which means evil woman. Now you'll notice one thing. S means man. Ben means evil. Set means woman. And bent means evil. So where's the adjective at in that term or sentence? It's not a full sentence, but you could make that a full sentence if we added the to it. But where's the adjective at? It's behind. It comes behind. And in most Medu Neter words, not all, but in most, the adjective will come behind. So you have man first, and then you have ben, evil, second. In English, we don't generally do that, do we? Because you see right here, evil woman. So you see the adjective in front of the noun. Noun being woman, adjective being evil. Right? So it's a little different when you're using English than when you're using Medu Neter. Let's go a little further. Word order. It says, unlike English, the adjective generally follows the noun it describes. As above, ben translates as evil man, not man evil. However, an adjective can also be used as a predicate adjective. The cat is graceful, right? So you see cat in English is the noun. Graceful is the adjective. And you see that graceful comes after the noun cat when it's used as a predicate, in which case the noun follows the adjective, as they just said and I just explained. But anyway, so this is how it's used. Now, an adjective can also be used as a noun, in which case it will have a determinative sign to show that it is a noun. So we know how nouns are used in ancient Kemet when they're adjectives initially, don't we? An adjective can also be used as a noun, in which case it will have a determinative sign to show that it is a noun. So that's the method of changing an adjective to a noun in ancient Kemet, in the language we call Medu Neter, in the language that we call ancient Egyptian. So you got a rule. So we got to stick to our rules. Let me see what else. I don't think we need anything else from here. Get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. All right. The word this also acts like an adjective, and so it follows the noun and agrees with it in gender and number. We'll get to that later. So that's not important. It's not important. So now, we're starting to qualify the term or the word, pardon me. We're starting to qualify the word Kim as an adjective. But when you deal with adjectives, just like we talked about on the last video, we have to deal with declensions. And when you deal with declensions, there's some things you need to know concerning speech and language, right? There's about 8 parts, some people say 9, 9 parts to a sentence. Let me see if I've got, hold on, let me see if I can pull up the 9. I know it's around here somewhere. It's probably in my pictures. See if I could pull up the 9 real quick. And these are parts of speech, just so you know. This is we're just kind of adding into what we're talking about here, just so you know, real fast. Pull this up and pull up the pictures. Come on, hurry. Blah, 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 blah. I told y'all I need a new PC. Donate to the Sarum Khan needs a new PC fund. Anyway, let's Where's my pictures? Here they go. Let's pull up pictures. All right, let me scroll to it so I know I have it. And this is going to just give you a quick briefing on what those portions are. This way, yeah, here they go. So parts of speech before we hop back in it. And this is just so you know the parts of speech and so that you're not, when you speak on things, you know how things work. So nouns, pronouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, articles, prepositions, conjunctions, and interjections, right? Nouns, what are they? People, places, things. Gives a few examples: dog, cat, garden, work, music, town, Manila, teacher, Bob, the sun shines, Anna goes to school. And then adjectives do what? Describe nouns: angry, brave, healthy, little, old, red, smart, too, some, good, big, interesting. Brown dog, fat cat, big garden, right? So we know what they are. And articles, because articles are also important. Let's look at those. Single, that a noun is going to follow: the, a, and, the dog, the cat. So those are articles that you usually see in front of nouns. Just so you know the different portions of speech. And like I said, some people say 9, some people say 8. It's because adverbs and verbs are really same thing. But anyway, it's really the same family. So anyway, just so you know. But let's get back to what we were talking about, declensions. We talk about declensions and we talk about adjective declensions. There's a certain formation, right? So I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me pull it up a little bit. I think it gets bigger here. Come on, let me see. And these are the different classes, if you will, of declensions, just so you know. Adjectives are the first and second. First, let's go into declensions, right? Declensions, they're nominative, genitive, dative, accusatory, if you will, ablatory, and vocative. Vocative. And these are when they're singular. When they're plural, they're here: nominative, genitive, dative, accusatory, and ablative, right? You can look that up later. We're not going to get too deep into those. And then stems, which you find the feminine T a part of, it's a stem of a word. It's the ending generally. And we won't get too deep into that either. I'm just giving you a few terms so you know what they are, and you can look them up on your own later. But we're about to deal with declension because we're dealing with feminine singular. And we're dealing with feminine plural generally when we deal with these words. And because km.t is a biliteral, and you can see it as feminine singular and feminine plural, you can even see it as dual. But because we've been talking about it in feminine singular and we've been talking about it in feminine plural, I just need you to know a little bit of information concerning that. So we're going to prove kim or km.t is a feminine singular in the vocative case when it comes to declension. That's where we're going. And also in the plural, it has its place, but we're just going for that right now at the moment. Now, let's get back to some information. We're going to go right from that same book we had before. Same book we had before. Let me make sure I'm in the right location. Make sure I got the right one first. This is how you know I'm just doing this off the fly. Because I am everywhere. Let me see. I need to go up some, so let's go up a little bit. Yeah, here we go. So let's talk about Kim as a noun. When Kim is able to, basically be put in the feminine genitive, when we add feminine T to it, and it becomes km, because it becomes a noun when we do that, as we just covered how that takes place. Nouns are always single words, whether these words themselves are singular or not. Most languages, including English, have ways to put two nouns together to refer to a thing that has both nouns in common. Examples in English include junk and food, which is formed from the nouns junk and food, and refers to food that some consider junk, that is unhealthy. Or take the example of police officer, which refers to an official who polices civic order. The result is what is called the compound noun. The reason it's compound, obviously, is because there's two words. There's the word junk, there's the word food. Both are nouns, and we put them together to make a word, which becomes not just one word, but two words that make one noun. Where the first noun behaves as if it were an adjective, you see that? The first noun behaves as if it were an adjective. Middle Egyptian also has phrases compounded of one or more nouns. These are used primarily to express three different sorts of relationships between nouns: possession, the genitive, apposition, and connection. Technically, this means that they are not compound nouns, but rather noun phrases. A noun phrase is a phrase whose head is a noun or pronoun. That means the beginning of it. Optionally, accompanied by a set of modifiers, adjectives. The modifiers may be determinatives, or may be determiners, adjectives, or appositional phrases. Let's go down a little bit. Determiners, these may be demonstrative, this, that, numerals, to, five, etc. Possessives, my, their, and so on. And quantifiers, some, many, and so on. In English, determiners are usually placed before the noun. In Middle Egyptian, usually after. Okay, we covered that on the other slide, how nouns in Egypt, when we did the evil woman demonstration, right? So adjectives, these are descriptive words. For example, the maroon ball. Adpositional phrases, examples include the man with the big stick, or the relative clause, the woman whom I married yesterday. In Egyptian, under certain circumstances, noun phrases can be treated as single grammatical units. This is most noticeable in the syntax of the genitive. For explanatory purposes, we're going to go into the blue here. It is useful to distinguish grammar from syntax. It's showing the difference between grammar and syntax. Grammar traditionally refers to the form that individual words take as they appear in any given utterance. Nouns, adjectives, verbs, and so on, in their respective declensions or conjugations. Syntax, from the Greek syntaxes, orders, etc., refers to the arrangement of the words. So you can see the difference, right? One talks about the order of the sentence, the other talks about the words in the sentence. And let me see if there's anything in there we need. We'll finish it out. For example, grammatically, adjectives agree in gender and number with the nouns that they modify. Syntactically, they follow the noun to which they refer. For example, sin, sinu, neferu. Grammatically, sinu is masculine plural, while syntactically, the adjective neferu modifies its antecedent, its subject, which get into right now, with which it agrees grammatically in gender and number. So adjectives always agree with the noun in gender and number, and they should say color as well, but we won't go there. So the genitive, we're not going to get into that. Remember, we just looked at the chart here for declension, and it covers nominative, genitive, ablatory, vocative, etc., etc. So we're not going to get into these. We don't need to. They're important, but they're not necessary for what we're doing right now. But we needed that first portion here to determine how our adjective or adjective that became a noun adjective works, which was this upper part. Its determiners come after, and the adjective becomes a noun, such as maroon ball, right? So let's go a little further down here. Just want to make sure we get the portions that qualify it. So indirect genitive. The second means for expressing possession, which is genitive, commonly known as the indirect genitive, links two nouns by means of a genitive of a genitival adjective. Pardon me. In Egyptian, there exists a category of adjectives derived from nouns or prepositions, formed by adding a J or an I, if you will, or a reed leaf, as you've seen it before, to the stem, and used to indicate relations of a wide variety of sorts. These are traditionally called nisba adjectives, a term borrowed from Arabic grammar. For the moment, we will consider only the nisba adjective derived from the preposition in, to, for, n plus J, or n plus the reed leaf, we'll say. You'll notice this book says J as opposed to I, as you may find in some of the older books. But whatever. Basically, the nisba adjective derived from in means belonging to, but idiomatically it is equivalent to the English of. As with all adjectives, it follows the noun it modifies in medu natura, with which it must agree in gender as well as number. Here is the declension in full. So let's take a look at the declension. In singular, you'll find nej or ni or na, you'll see some people say. And it's the N and you got the two strokes. The feminine form of this is the masculine form. The feminine form of this is net or nejet. You see right there, N and T. And notice this is not written. This J is not written. Dual, and we covered that on the last video we did. Why? So this would be nejwej or nowej. This would be netej or nejtej, as some people would say if you pronounce that right. And the plural would be neju, and or nu, as you hear most people say, nu. And this would be nejwit, or would be newt, as you hear most people say. So let's go a little further. For fuller treatment of nisba adjectives, you see lesson 4, but whatever. Because the genitival adjective is formed from a preposition as an attributive adjective, it not only modifies the antecedent noun as a prepositional adjective, it can also take an object, hence land or different things of that nature, right? Hence its utility in expressing relations of possession. A good example of how genitival adjectives work in conventional term for the Egyptian language would be this. Let's see what we got. We got Rani Kemet or Nej Kemet. So you you see right here, Rani Kemet. Let's go a little further. Just covering this portion here, just so that it's clear. As an adjective, nej, masculine singular, modifies the noun are, speech, And as a preposition, it takes kemet, Egypt, as its object. And Egypt in this case is what? Feminine singular. So you had Rani, and you had kemet, and you had a determinative at the end. The genitive or adjective always agrees with the antecedent noun, never with its object as a preposition. The same construction is used to indicate an inhabitant of Egypt. What's this right here? Rani Kemet. Ramechi. This says right here, this says Ramech Nej Kemet. Ramech. Ramech is here. You see the determinative here. Ni or Nej Kemet. Ramech Nej Kemet. A man that belonging to Egypt. A man of Egypt. An Egyptian. A Ramech. A teardrop of rock, as the Ramech term means. Let's go further. In spoken Middle Egyptian, the weak consonants J and W were in the process of disappearing, particularly at the end of words, so that in practice, the archaic J of the genitival adjectives is rarely written, at least in Middle Egyptian hieroglyphics. If indicated at all in transliteration, the J is conventionally placed within parentheses. So we see how that works above. And now, over here, running out of time, we just want to go to some examples so we can qualify some things. So let's go to the example. Let's look at some of these in motion so we can make sure that what we're talking about is correct. So here, as you can see, here's some examples of what we just covered. And these are vocative, if you will. Let me cover vocative real quick. Let me cover vocative real fast, and then we'll get to it. So remember, we wanted to see feminine singular. We got that. Feminine plural, it's also there. And feminine singular is in the vocative sense. So the vocative refers to direct address to an individual or group. In Egyptian, there is no special case or form to mark direct address. That's why when you do, like I said, when you do morphs, you bring a sentence from one language to another. It doesn't always work. You have to know the rules of that language. So once again, the vocative refers to direct address to an individual or group. In Egyptian, there is no special case or form to mark direct address. You do have direct address in English. You don't have it in Medu Neter or Egyptian. A sentence may begin with such an address, end with it, or insert the direct address at some point in the middle for emphasis. It may not, however, interrupt the sequence of words that belong closely together. Ordinarily, no introductory particle was used, but in high-style text, one sometimes finds one of the following vocative markers. Then it goes into some of the markers. But we don't really care about the markers right now. We just want to know what the vocative sense is, and that gives us a clear idea of what the vocative sense is. Now, let's look at some of the words we find in the vocative sense. They're here. And one would be what? Kemet, the black land that is Egypt. You have Kem, which is what? A noun adjective with a determining mark after it. So you have this here, making the K sound. We know what it is. It's a biliteral. And it's a noun adjective, and it's in the feminine singular because we have the T here. And the determinative at the end decides that it's a noun, remember? So this is an adjective becoming a noun. And when we put these together, it has a description. So you remember we asked our brother before, I said, it looks like there's a description there. He said, there is no description. But clearly we have qualified the descriptive portion of this K right here, this black part, this crocodile skin, this I6 Gardner marker as a descriptive adjective, which has become a noun, which is made of what? Two words, huh? And so where the M is silent when you write it like this, but here it's written out. And so you have the K, you have the M, and then you have the feminine T to make it feminine singular. So the K and the M are here, making it a biliteral, which was an adjective by itself here, which is now a noun adjective together, and it's in the feminine portion because of this T here. And we have a determinative to make it a noun at the end. So km, which is what? What if we put this here in front of it? This adverb in front of it is the black land. What makes it the black land? Because this is an adjective of descriptive powers. This is our land determinative, and this makes it feminine singular, the T. This determinative at the bottom makes it a noun. So this adjective down here, which is km, made up of two words or two sounds when you use Semitic. Km, these are two words in ancient Kemet, has now become female, like I said, with the T here, and it has become a noun. So we have our descriptive, and we have it becoming a noun. And so it becomes the black, because this means black. This right here means black. And this here means land. This determinative at the end. So we have Kemet, the black land. Capiche? And it's in the vocative sense. Vocative case, I should say. Can't get around that. Can't get around that. So anybody saying Kemet is not the black land, you got issues. You don't know how declension works. You don't understand the cases of declension. You don't understand how adjectives modify nouns. You don't understand how adjectives can be a noun in ancient Medu Neter language. But we can't just say that. I guess we need pictures, right? Let's pull up a picture of the black land. Let's just see if it's true. There it is right there. This is what happens after the water hits the land. It leaves a black soot. Has for years. Some of that black soot is still around. This is not burning from the sun. Some of that black soot is just still around. It happens heavily during the inundation. This is facts. It's just what it is. If you didn't know that. So not only do we have, that as a toponym, we probably should look at how a lot of toponyms get their, how not a lot, but we probably could look at how some toponyms get their name. Because if we do, now we're not done with that, right? So we got to go a little further. We got to go a little further because the term Kim means black, right? But let's just look and see. Because I think the excuse is Kim also means other things that it can't mean black. But it also means black not just once, not twice, but 24 different terms indicate Kim meaning black. 24 different terms. Here you can see this right here, the same metal, the I6 metal, I6 word, making this cow black. We know this cow is black. We know this determiner makes it black, and there are stories confirming that there were black cows. We know what kind of bull the Apis was and different things of that nature. And we also have it in the Demotic as Kemi. So when it goes to another language, it stays black. It becomes Kemi. It becomes Kemi. We have Iat as well. Iat is there. But guess how many times? Only 7. Only 7 as a place name. Only 7 for Iat. But for the term Kim, you have its use in Medu Neter 24 different times used as black. So we definitely know that this right here, I6, whether it's a crocodile spine or whether it's a hippo's foot or whether it's burnt incense, it means black. Whether it's burnt wood, it's black. And we just watched it become an adjective. We just watched it go from an adjective to a noun, which is a noun adjective. And we look that up and we see what it is. We see where it comes from. We see where it derives from. And we know it's in the vocative sense, right? For those who do grammar. We didn't get into a lot of declensions because declension takes a long time. It's not necessary, but you should go look up declension. You have the words, it's easy to look up. You can go to sites like this, which will make it easy. This is a college site, actually. These are commentaries from Dixon, so that you can break some of these down real easy. They even give you videos. You know, I like to take y'all through the internet where y'all can get different information so y'all can assist yourself when you're doing some of this work. But Kim, 24 times, 24 different times, it's referred to as black. 24. Iat has less, so we can't say, oh, Iat is waterway. Iat also has different meanings as well, doesn't it? Doesn't it? So we don't deter Iat from being watery. We don't say it's not that. We know it has that meaning and it has other meanings. But Kim has more meanings of being black than anything else. So we wouldn't deter it from being black. And we wouldn't stop it from defining the noun Kemet. Because that's what it did. It became a noun adjective. And we just showed it's an adjective. It's a biliteral. It's an adjective. So we know exactly what this word means, how it comes, how it was derived, that it's the root word in the term kemet, not now. It's the root word in the term kemet. And we can see exactly what's going on. So there's no mystery here of how this word is defined and what it's determining and what Egypt means when you use it in with these determinatives. It means the black land without question. Without question. And you know, that's easy to see. This is not rocket science. But let's go further. Let's go a little further. Let's go a little bit further. What is this? What is this? This is Oxford Dictionary. What do I have? Let's look at a root. Let's look at its root a little bit. Let me see if this is the right one. No, my computer is slow, man. I promise you guys deserve better. Black night, black sky, blah, 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 blah. But let me get off of this. Let me go over here. Let's go to Akmem real quick. There's a reason why I went here. I'm not really going to divulge it. It's a city in ancient Kemet, yes. But we want to kind of get an idea of what people around the Remetz thought concerning this term, concerning the word, right? Because Plutarch calls it chemi. And he says things come from the black art like chemistry, etc., right? And then he mentions a place called Chemis. And Chemis is really Akmem. And it goes into Akmen and it goes to a few other things, a few other roots. But Chemite, which is a septdot, or you hear me say Hespu sometimes. Chemite is a city in ancient Egypt, right? And this term comes around the 6th dynasty, if you will. You can also see it in Coptic. Go check out Coptic. Go check out the term Chemi or Chemia. So you can start to get its roots, right? Start to get its roots. Well, let's go to the encyclopedia real quick. And let's look at Chemia, because Plutarch says came from Egypt. Let's just read a little bit. We're just qualifying this chem thing a little bit, right? In the history of science, the etymology of the word chemistry is debatable. It is agreed that the word derives from the word alchemy, which is a European one, derived from chemia, which goes into Arabic, which alchemia is the other word there, al meaning the, chemia meaning the particular science, right? The Arabic term is derived from the ancient Greek, in the chemia, or I can't remember how to say the first one. The second one is chemia. However, the ultimate origin of the root word chem is uncertain, they claim. But according to the Oxford English Dictionary, the majority theory is that alchemia is derived from chemia, which is derived from the ancient Egyptian name of Egypt, Chem, Kami, or Chemi, meaning black earth, contrasting with the surrounding desert, which would be Deshret. Therefore, alchemy is the Egyptian art. However, it is also possible that alchemy derived from a different word, meaning cast together. Hardly unlikely, especially with Plutarch's story, Strabo's, and a few other people's story. Anyway, traditionally, the science of alchemy was once considered to have sprung from great Egyptian figure named by the Greeks Hermes Trismegistus, the 3 times great Hermes, celebrated as priest, king, and scholar, who is thought to have been the founder of the art of what? Alchemy. Reputed to have lived about 1900 BC, etc., etc. So if we look a little further into its etymology and where it comes from, we can see the Greeks also understood it to mean the black earth. The black earth. Let me bookmark that. I just pulled that up. But if there's doubt, we need to go and find out, right? And when you go find out, it's not difficult to find out. It's very simple to find out. Very, very simple to find out. Let's go see, right? Let's go see if what they say is true. And so when we go and we see the inundation take place, you see that black land next to that water? You see this black earth from this green grass created by this wet water that inundates and leaves this soot right here. Okay? This is how toponyms come into play. This is one of the ways toponyms come into play. And we'll cover toponyms in a minute because, like I said, there's another thing going around. It's kind of a myth to me. They say if I lived by the Blue Nile, we wouldn't be called Blue Nile people. Or if we hunted for fish, we wouldn't be called fish people. Or if we lived on this rock, we wouldn't be called the rock people. But you're wrong. You're wrong. Most ancient toponyms derive from that. Or if I made this blue thread, we wouldn't be called the blue thread people. You're wrong. You're also wrong when you think that. In fact, next time, because I do have to go, I'm way over my time. I got to get out of here. Next time when we come back to do this, we're going to cover some of the place names. We're just going to cover one, really. I'm just going to cover one to make it simple. And we'll walk through it. We'll walk through how a particular place got its name. And usually you get two names. You get one that you might call yourself, and you get one that people refer to you as, from things you do or something about you or the place you derive from. That's exactly what people do. Okay? So we'll keep it simple. Keep it simple. Kemet is clearly the black land. It's feminine singular. It's a biliteral noun adjective in the vocative case sense. Without question. Without question. And you can see it here. Here's your toponym. See that toponym? Here, let me give you one more toponym. We did this one earlier. Did this other toponym earlier, didn't we? Here it is again. This is when it's peeled back. This is the desert. You seen sun hit the sand? Don't turn black, it turns brown. But this is what you should know dealing with ancient Kemet, and this is what you should know when you deal with the language, and this is what you should know when you just listen and you don't do the research. You got to go do the research to make sure what people say is truth and fact without question, right? So if you guys are doing the research at home, then you should know. And this is not just picture scholarship. Like I said, we broke it down. We broke it down in grammar terms, just so that there's no, we don't want to have any, cluelessness about this. This is just the facts of the matter. Where's the other one I just had pulled up for us? When it first starts, because the inundation will generally start like this. Usually looks like this, right? Usually gets brown and murky and muddy. And then after it's murky and muddy, it'll change, and it'll start to separate the really green portion from the really black portion. Here's another pic. Oh, there it is down there. Here's another pic. That one is far away, so we get rid of that. Let me see. The other one is right here. And then when it separates, it starts to look like this. You can see this black soot area and this really green portion. Walk through it. It'll be on your shoes. It'll be right on your shoes. And then when it all dries up, like when you talking thousands of years, you start to get this. You start to get this stuff here. Right? So you can understand how Kemet is the black land through the metamorphosis of what happens over time, right? Kemet, don't do that to me. Kemet, I didn't want to do it to me. Kemet is there. Kemet is there. And Kemet is here. That's the process. And I gave you the physical process of how it takes place, right? So, it just giving it to you. I'm giving it to you raw, so you know how it goes, so you know what it is. So it's not a question. Let me stop sharing. So I could talk to you all a little bit, just so you can get some understanding of how we know it means the black land. How we know that. So There are some hypotheses out, which that's good. Have hypothesis. You're supposed to, and you should, and keep striving, brothers. I think you're pushing the same way the ancestors wanted you to push, but there's certain things that are just facts and certain things that are not facts. And so when we get to those facts, we have to have a meeting of the minds, and that's what we did here. And so now that my mind has met yours, and others will meet yours as well, and this is why. This is the reasoning behind that. So Kemet is the black land without question. This is what I want you to do. Go talk to some of the people who claim that it's not, and then have them give their reason for why it's not. And let's see what they can really explain. Let's see what they can really explain. Let's see if what's being taught to them is sinking in truly, or are they just running with the group of people? You just running. I'm running with the pack. It feels good, but is it right? You have source to back up what you claim, and you need that. And I have plenty of that. We have plenty of that on this real side over here. Oh no, let me stop messing with you. So when you go do your research, make sure you have to go into declensions, your vocative, your genitive, your ablative, your this. Go through all of that. Since you're doing morphs, since you're bringing information from one language to another, make sure it fits. Make sure you understand the rules of the language you're speaking and dealing with, and you're writing so that you can grammatically get it right. You can get it right, you're going to be fine. If some things you have to try. So you can't, we can't reprimand our brothers from creating a hypothesis. But what we have to do is make sure we do the full due diligence and make sure everything lines up. And if you come over here and have the discussion with me, we're going to make sure it lines up. And then we also have to ask, and I didn't even do this. Like I said, I had an hour. I got about an hour. I got to roll out of here. Now I don't even have that. I got probably about 8 minutes. When you go and do these things, get a census from the people that were there at that time that have an idea of what happened. So if we go ask the Greeks in ancient times what this means, they're going to have an opinion, a better opinion than me and you, because they were there. If we ask the Persians of this time, they're going to have an opinion, a much better opinion than me and you, because they're there. They're eyewitness. You have primary resources around them that they usually refer to. You're not there. You're making a hypothesis about what you believe and how you feel, but did you do the due diligence? The due diligence would be to check the primary resources, to check the etymology of each one, to make sure this lines up, to make sure there's 24 sources for the term Kim, meaning black. And it's an adjective noun. How could you think otherwise at the end of the day? How? So when you figure that out, you guys give us a holler. I'm assuming we'll probably hear more of the same, but show your primary resources then. Let's rock. Let's get busy. Let's get to it. Shout out to the chat. See, like a few of y'all popped in. I ain't shared this yet. I ain't even pushed this out yet. I'll push it out in a minute. ETE, Imhotep, Seni Sinet, Ankwas the Jet, Uncle Josh Senev. Please don't die this weekend. I had like 3 people we had to bury this week, right? It's been a rough week. Remember who you are. Be in the SAR. PraiseTheDivine.org. Check it out. Go hop in the classes. Go get the Virtues of my Art class. Go do the introductory class, and go. I just came from the gym too. I can't remember the other one. Go do you. Go be you. Emma Tubbs, and he's in there. Uncle Check.